All right, we'll talk about connective tissue now. So one of the facts about connective tissue is that it's the most abundant tissue in the body. Also provides form and structure. Without connective tissue, your body wouldn't even closely resemble what it does. There are many different types of connective tissue and they all serve a slightly different purpose. Yet, as different as they are, all connective tissues are each made of protein, sugars, collagen that help you have a healthy, functioning body. And we'll talk about all of them and how they relate to disease and how they relate to injuries. I'm sure you've injured some aspect of connective tissue in your life. All right, so what is the purpose of connective tissue? It functions to bind organs, support physical protection, immune protection, movement, storage, heat production, and transport. Cells of fibrous connective tissue, you have fibroblasts, which produce fibers and ground substance. You have little macrophages that eat bacteria and debris. You have leukocytes that are found in connective tissue, which are white blood cells, such as neutrophils and lymphocytes that help in body defenses. You have plasma cells that produce antibodies. You have mast cells that secrete heparin and histamine. And you have adipocytes, which are your fat cells. So these are all the different types of cells, and it'd be good to know these, that are found in connective tissue. Now, fibers of fibrous connective tissue, they're very collagenous. You've heard of collagen, right? It's tough and flexible. Those are the white fibers of the tendons and ligaments. Reticular are the thin collagen fibers. They provide a framework for the spleen and lymph nodes. Those are reticular. And then you have elastic, which helps stretch and recoil. That's elastin protein is abundant in the lungs because when you take a deep breath in and exhale, inhale, exhale, we need that nice elastic tissue here. So again, just like we studied before, you want to know where it's found and what its purpose is. So loose connective tissue, that's found everywhere. Okay, it's areolar, it's very abundant, binds epithelia to the deeper tissue. So it binds epithelium to the deeper tissue, and this is what it looks like. That's what, and it's found, it's the most abundant, it's found everywhere in the body. Connective tissue proper, fibroblasts produce this fibrous tissue. Connective tissue proper includes fixed cells, fibrocytes, adipocytes, and mesenchymal cells. So this is what it can look like here. Now, you've got loose connective tissue. The reticular, like I mentioned before, is found in the spleen, the thymus, and the bone marrow, and it helps support lymphatic organs. So you'll find that. Okay, so that's what loose connective tissue, reticular. Okay, then you have loose connective tissue, areolar, which is found everywhere. So make sure you know the difference between reticular and areolar. Now you have dense regular connective tissue. This is where most injuries occur. Now the difference between, they're very highly organized. They have mainly fibroblasts. This is what it looks like. But what do tendons do? Tendons attach muscle to bone. What do ligaments do? They attach bone to bone. Okay? So make sure you know the difference between what a tendon, what a real definition of a tendon is, and what a definition of a ligament is. Again, tendons attach muscle to bone, ligaments attach bone to bone. So and your body heals through blood supply. Bone has the best blood supply, then it's muscle, then it's tendon, then it's ligaments, then it's cartilage. Since cartilage has the least blood supply, it heals the slowest, if at all, depending on the situation. It's elastic tissue, so it can also be found in the vocal cords. Dense regular connective tissue consists of collagenous fibers packed into parallel bundles, whereas dense irregular consists of collagenous fibers interwoven into like a mesh-like network. So these dense regular is nice and parallel, where irregular is like interwoven. Here's what dense irregular connective tissue. It's a random arrangement of fibers. It resists stress, durable, forms most of your dermis. So your tattoo is in your dermis, and protective capsules. Now, adipose tissue. We have fat everywhere, and fat is good for you. Now, remember, there's some research it says we have, as humans, we actually have the same amount of adipocytes or cells, but it varies only in size in individuals. Some research says that some individuals that are very obese can make more adipocytes and have billions more. But in general, for most humans, we have the same number of cells. We just have different sizes. Okay, and why do you need fat? Of course you need fat. You need to store energy, and it's for protection. Now here's adipose tissue, loose connective tissue that consists of fat cells with little extracellular matrix. It stores fat for energy and provides insulation. Now, well, in America, fat loss is big business, right? And obesity is rampant, diabetes is rampant. So lots of patients are going to ask you questions, and we want to say, okay, can you spot reduce? You cannot spot reduce. So here's a little body fat percentage to give you an idea of what each percent body fat looks like. So if you look at men, 3 to 4% body fat, that's what it looks like. That's pretty nasty. Okay. Now the problem with 3 to 4% body fat is you lack insulation. So you can actually get hypothermia real quickly, and you don't really like cold weather. So here's 6 to 7%, here's 10 to 12%, here's 15%, here's 20%. To really have almost a six-pack here, you need to be under 10% body fat for men. So 25%, then we get into the dad bods, right? So 25, 30, 35, 40%. Okay, so if you're single, you're probably trying to go for this. When you get married, you're over here, right? These are just men. Okay, so for ladies, 10 to 12% right here. I don't recommend 10 to 12% because your menstrual cycle will be thrown off, and what happens is your hormone levels will be thrown off. 15, 17%, 20, 22%, 25%, 30%, 35%, 40%, 45, 50%. When you get above 40%, you're going to have more risk of cardiovascular issues. Same thing with guys. When you go above 30%, your risk of heart disease and cardiovascular issues goes exponentially higher. So the bottom row we don't want to be. I think it's very healthy to be between 15 and 25 for men, 25 to 35, and people like to be here, but you don't necessarily have to be here. For most women, you should actually be in the 20 to 25% for normal physiological events to occur right here. I think 10 to 15 is a little too little, and your hormone levels can get affected greatly. Okay. Cartilage, you have chondroblasts, cells that secrete cartilage matrix. You have lacunae, which are small little cavities surrounding a chondrocyte. And then you have chondrocytes, which are cartilage cells in lacunae. Now look, cartilage is mostly avascular. That's why when you tear your meniscus, that's why it doesn't magically repair itself, because the blood supply to it is slim to none. Now there's different types of cartilage. We have hyaline, elastic, and fibrocartilage. Make sure you know the three different types of cartilage and where in the body they're found. So hyaline cartilage, where is this tissue found in the body? So if you look at the hyaline cartilage, it's found at the end of long bones and at the end of the ribs here. This is what it looks like. So again, hyaline cartilage found at the ends of bones, the trachea, costal cartilage, and then fetal skeleton. I think I mentioned to you before that young kids, when they're born 1, 2, most of their skeleton can still be hyaline cartilage, so it's very difficult for them to break their bones. They have a little bit more give. As you get older, obviously the hyaline cartilage becomes a little bit more sturdier, becomes actual bone, and then you can break your bones easily. Why is hyaline cartilage important? Well, it eases joint movement, it holds the airway open in your trachea, and it moves the vocal cords. So very important to have hyaline cartilage. Now elastic cartilage, that's your external ear, your epiglottis. Epiglottis is what should shut when you swallow food so that the food doesn't go down the wrong pipe, as we like to say. Okay, this is what elastic cartilage looks like. Here's another diagram of elastic cartilage. So one of these will show up on the quizzes. I'll try to use a similar tissues. In class, we would actually look through the microscope, but unfortunately we're not in class, so I'll have to just use images. Now, elastic cartilage, yes, we like to look at this guy. And of all things, he used Diet Coke, which is even worse. If he had a regular Coke can, I might forgive him. But yes, this is elastic cartilage being stretched to the limits. Looks ridiculous. This guy looks ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why. People are crazy. And the other thing is that these plugs here, once you take this Coke can out, it's not going to magically go back to its normal position. Unfortunately, once you stretch it out, it is what it is. Fibrocartilage, that's found in the pubic symphysis, IV disc, and your meniscus. Okay, it resists compression and absorbs shock. So we like fibrocartilage. And here's another image of fibrocartilage. The colors are just because it's stained differently. Okay, most of your tissues have just kind of a generic color to them, but they're not blue and they're not purple, and these are all stained so you can see it. Again, the types of cartilage. You have hyaline cartilage, which provides support with some flexibility. Fibrocartilage provides some compressibility and can absorb pressure. And then elastic cartilage provides firm but elastic support. Bone, yes, bone. Spongy bone and compact bone. You have a central canal, you have a lamellae, osteon, osteocytes, caniculi, and a periosteum. That is the characteristics of bone. Ooh, that might hurt. So bone doesn't give too much, right? Those are some things that that might be a little bit brutal. And it goes back to building a skyscraper on wooden stilts. I'm sure as a young child, unfortunately, he didn't have the proper nutrition, and that's why you see severe breaks such as this. These are non-contact severe breaks. Now, if somebody runs into him and they fall on his knee, that makes sense because that's just an accident. But when you're just running and you get severe breaks like this, usually it's because you've had some nutritional deficiency early on in life. Blood. Yes, blood is a connective tissue. And what's found in blood? Again, we're going to talk a lot more about blood later on in the semester, but I just wanted you to realize that we characterize blood as connective tissue. There's plasma in blood. You have formed elements such as red blood cells, and then you have leukocytes, which are white blood cells, such as neutrophils, eosinophils, okay, and then we have platelets. So those are the things that you'll find in blood. You'll find plasma, you'll find erythrocytes, which are red blood cells, you'll find leukocytes, which are white blood cells, and then you'll find platelets. Blood is a fluid connective tissue containing erythrocytes and various types of leukocytes that circulate in the liquid. What do elevated basophils mean? So make sure you know that. I'm not going to answer that. Those are good quiz questions. So if you had elevated basophils, elevated eosinophils, and elevated neutrophils. Okay, so when you do your CBC in your blood, we're checking certain things, right? So if something is out of normal, then it will indicate something. So you want to know, hey, if you have elevated basophils, if you have elevated eosinophils, and if you have elevated neutrophils, what does that actually mean? So again, I don't want to give you all the answers. Sometimes everyone is always wanting all the answers. Sometimes you have to dig a little bit, go research it, and guess what? You'll remember the information much better when you yourself look it up versus just being handed to you. All right.